ฮัลโหล
พี่โรส
เป็นไงบ้าง
ผมไปฟิตเนสมาใช่ป่ะแล้วก็ขากลับฝนตกหนัก
อ๋อไปฟิตเนสที่ไหนวะแถวไหน
ผมไปแถวโลตัสเลยพี่อยู่ตร
เรา
งโลตัส
ตะอ๋อเราตะมีฟิตเนสด้วยเหรอทางโลตัสอะ
มีพี่แต่มันมี
อ๋อโอเคอ่ะตามนั้นนะครับ
ก็เลยไปมา1,500เองก็ถูกเลยต่อเดือน
อ๋อถือว่าได้อยู่นะเออ
ใช่
ก็จริ
เล่นแบบ
งๆแล้วฟิตเน
วันเว้นวัน
สมันต้องก็ต้องเล่นมันต้องเล่นใกล้บ้านอยู่แล้วไม่งั้นมันจะไม่ต่อเนื่องใช่ปะ
ใช่ก็
อ่ะ
จริงพี่
อ่ะทีนี้เราอยากเรียน task 1ใช่ไหมพี่ก็เลยไปดูมาในอินเทอร์เน็ตมันจะประมาณนี้อ่ะเดี๋ยวเราขอไอเดียเราก่อน หัวsorry หัวมันบอกว่า plastic bottles are recycled นะครับลองดูซิว่าสเต็ปเป็นไงบ้างมีกี่สเต็ปเนี่ยหลายสเต็ปเลย
สเต็ปหนึ่งก็คือเอาไปเนี่ยสเต็ปหนึ่งเอาไปทิ้งสเต็ปสองมีรถมาแยกสเต็ปสามไปทิวรีเข้าแยกขยะอีกรอบสเต็ปสี่คืออัดเป็นบล็อกสเต็ป
อื
ห้าเอาบล็อก
ม
เป็นเมล็ดแล้วก็จากเมล็ดก็บดเป็นให้ละเอียดขึ้นแล้วก็ก
อื
ลายเป็น raw
ม
material แล้วก็กลายเป็น recycle product อีกรอบหนึ่ง
อืมตัวไหนบ้างที่ใช้คนเนี่ย
หนึ่งสาม2 อันพี่
แล้วก็ที่เหลือก็จะเป็น passive voice อย่างนี้เหรอ
เป็น
พาร์ทนี้ก็ต้องเป็น
เครื่องจักร
passive voice ส่วนใหญ่ใช่ไหมฮะ
เป็นเครื่องจักรใช่
อืหนึ่งสอง recycle center sort ก็คือเลือกมาว่าตัวไหนได้ตัวไหนไม่ได้ใช่ไหม
ใช่
compression into block ก็คือไปอัดในกระป๋อง crushing ก็คือเข้าเครื่องอย่างเงี้ยเหรอ
ครับ
แล้วก็ผ่าน washing ถูกไหมครับ producing plastic อันนี้เป็นเบอร์6 heating ดึงใส่ความร้อนเข้าไปแล้วก็สุดท้ายเป็นgood ลองดู essay นะฮะ essay ที่เขาเขียนเป็นไงบ้างตัวนี้ใช่ไหมโอเคสักครู่นะเดี๋ยวพี่ขอดูตัวนี้ก่อนอ่าลงขึ้นลง1 2 3เมื่อกี้เราจำภาพได้แล้วใช่ไหมทีนี้มาดู
ใช่
ตัวภาษาเขาแล้วกันนะครับเขาเห็นว่าเนี่ยอันนี้เราต้องการพี่ลองเช็คอย่างนี้ก่อนดีกว่าโอเคตัวหนังสือชัดนะครับ clear สังเกตนะถ้าเกิดว่า task 1นะครับ task 1เนี่ยหน้าที่ของเราก็คือว่าสเต็ปเลยแล้วกันนะครับให้สเต็ปไปเลยก็คือ1ก็คือเขียน introduction ก่อนนะครับเห็นไหม introduction นะครับคือ introduction เนี่ยเขียนยังไงก็คือว่าให้ดูตรงเขาเรียกว่า paraphrasing ถูกไหม paraphrasing นะครับ the question แล้วก็ตัวที่สองเนี่ยให้ดูในลักษณะของ overall picture นะ overall pic ว่าเป็นยังไงบ้างลองไล่เช็คดูนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นก็บอกว่า the diagram detail above delineate อันนี้แปลว่าอะไรไม่ทราบนะครับ how plastic bottles are recycled ตัวนี้ถือว่าเป็น paraphrasing ถูกไหม1 sentence ลองสังเกตนะเขาเขียนว่า1 sentence ละlooking from the overall perspective it is readily apparent that ตัวนี้เนี่ยเราเปลี่ยน phrase อย่างอื่นได้นะครับพี่ลองเปลี่ยนเป็นสมมติพี่คิดว่า it can be seen ก็ได้ it can be seen that หรือว่า it can conclude นะ that อย่างนี้ก็ได้ can be conclude ก็ได้นี่หว่า can be concluded. This circular process comprises 3 main stages, including initial collection and sorting. อันนี้คือตัวแรกถูกไหมครับ followed by processing and cleaning อันนี้ Q2 แล้วก็ final reconstruction into another material for further process อันนี้คือเป็นตัว3สังเกตนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยเราต้องดึงคอนเทนต์ให้ครบในส่วนของ step intro จะมีอยู่2ตัวนี้ ก็คือ intro กับ overall pic แค่นั้นเองอันนี้คือตัวพาร์ทที่1พาร์ทแรกเนี่ย task 1เนี่ยเราต้อง fix pattern เองนะครับแค่นี้ทีนี้เรามาดูกันเมื่อกี้เขาแบ่งเป็น3 stage ถูกไหมฮะthree stages นะครับอันดับแรกก็คือเขาบอกว่า collecting and sorting ถูกไหมเพราะฉะนั้นเราต้องเขียนตัวนี้ให้เคลียร์ว่ามัน sort ยังไง collect ยังไงพี่ remind ไว้ว่าต้องใช้ passive voice นะครับแค่นั้นเองตัวที่2เมื่อกี้เราพูดถึง process ถูกไหม processing แล้วก็ cleaning นั่นเองตัวนี้ก็ต้อง remind เรื่อง passive voice เดี๋ยวเข้ามาว่ากันนะครับโอเคป่ะแล้วก็ตัวที่3อันนี้คือ final product พี่ให้ final product แล้วกันนะครับก็ลองไล่เช็คดูลองไล่เช็คนะ recycling comments when the individual places their rubbish in a designated recycling bin ก็คืออันนี้เป็นตัวแรกถูกไหมครับ prior to being ตัวนี้เป็น passive voice นะครับ
being loaded ก็คือการถูกโหลด
into specialized garbage trucks after transportation to the recycling center the plastic สังเกตนะ are sorted มันจะมี passive voice fix ตลอดโอเคป่ะเพราะฉะนั้นพอเราเขียนใหม่เนี่ยเราก็ดูตามที่เขาเขียนนั่นแหละจะช่วยได้เยอะกว่านะครับ block and then crush อันนี้ก็ถือว่าเป็น passive voice เหมือนกันinto small piece and wash it จบผ่านไปแล้ว1เวอร์ชันต่อนะ the next stage involves transformation into reusable material เขาเปิดเป็นtopic sentence ก่อนตัวนี้ถือว่าเป็นการพูดถึง topic sentence นะครับแล้วก็ the pieces of plastic in the first pour into เห็นไหม passive voice เนาะโอเคแล้วก็เขียนต่อไปอีกนิดนึงว่า turns them into these pellets are then heat นี่ตัวนี้ก็ passive voice in order to create a raw material then can be used into the manufacture and product ranging from clothes and bottles to containers and pencils. These items are themselves recycled and the process begin again. อันนี้คือเป็น concluding sentence ของเขาเป็นไงบ้างถ้าเขียนเบอร์นี้ได้เนาะไม่ยากนะครับ
ก็ใส่ passive voice เยอะๆใช่ไหม
ใช่พาร์ทนี้ไม่มีอะไรเลยก็คือเน้น passive voice เป็นหลักนะครับ
แล้วก็พยายามเขียนศัพท์ให้ถูกแค่นั้น
ถูกต้องใช่อันนี้ก็ออกมาพี่ขอดูก่อนว่าเขาเขียนประมาณกี่เวิร์ดก็ได้อยู่นะ550เวิร์ดพอดี
เยอะไปไหมพี่เยอะไปเปล่า150ใช่ไหมผมได้ยินเป็น550
ไม่150เวิร์ดพอดีก็ถือว่า play safe โอเคน่าจะไม่น่ามีปัญหาผ่านไปเราไปดูสักตัวหนึ่งก็ได้ครับพี่ขอดูตัวอื่นหน่อยนะ
มันต้องมีแค่ intro กับ body แค่นั้นหน่อย
ใช่ลองดูตัวนี้ไหมผมลองคิดก่อนอันนี้ how sugar is produced from sugar cane นะครับยังไงต่อลองเล่าสิมันไม่ยากครับตัวนี้คือแบบแค่ดูเยอะๆแล้วก็จับคอนเซ็ปต์
คือ เป็น growing แล้วก็มี harvesting 2 แบบก็คือใช้ machine กับเป็น manual แล้วก็มา crushing บดเป็น juice แล้วหลังจากเป็น juice ก็จะคือใส่ตัว purify juice ให้มันมากขึ้นแล้วก็ไป heat up ให้มันใช้ความร้อนมันแล้วก็ spear sugar คือตีให้มันแตกตัวเป็นเม็ดแล้วก็จะได้เป็น dry sugar
ประมาณนั้นนะฮะ เราไปดูในเอเซแล้วกันนะครับว่าเขาเขียนประมาณไหนยากไหมตัวนี้
นี้ไม่ค่อยยากครับ
ลองดูเวอร์ชันที่เขาเขียนดีกว่าพี่ว่าน่าจะฮิตกว่านะครับป๊อปอันนี้เขาเอาพี่เอามาจากตัวเล่มแบบเขาเรียกว่าตัวเล่มที่เป็นนะครับลองดูผมดูซิว่า intro เป็นไง The process show how sugar is made from the sugar cane plant อันนี้คือ topic sentence ถูกไหม Looking from the overall perspective, it is readily apparent that the natural and man-made process involve three main states. อยู่ต้องเขียนไปเลย three main states ว่ามีอะไรบ้างนะครับ Beginning with initial harvest ตัวนี้หนึ่ง followed by chemical transformation ถูกไหมฮะแล้วก็ separation into the product of sugar. That's it. The first stage is natural and begins with sugar cane being grown over a 12 to 18 months period. Mature plant is then harvested สังเกตว่า passive voice หมดเลยเนาะ either by hand or large industrial farming machinery
ก็คือเขาขยายรัดว่าเป็น industrial farming machine
From that point it starts are crushed in a grinder which results in raw sugar cane juice ได้อยู่นะ
แล้วว่า juice can run through the limestone filter แล้วก็ pour into the evaporator during your time to heat up that become a syrup and the syrup makes prepared from sugar crystal using centrifugal period and dry แล้วก็ถูก dry ก็ทำให้แห้งแล้วก็ cold ถูกทำให้เย็นลงแล้วก็จะได้เป็น final form as sugar
ไม่ยากเนาะเพราะฉะนั้นผมเขียน3 step step แรกคือเปิดหัวกับ overall pick เป็นไงบ้างแล้วตัวที่2ก็ไล่ state ไปเน้น passive voice แล้วก็จบด้วยตัวที่3เขาบอกได้นะฮะคำศัพท์ไปนะคือ task แรกเนี่ยมันต้อง fix pattern ก็มีอยู่แค่นี้แหละนะประมาณนั้นโอเค good นะครับต่อครับอีกสักเรื่องหนึ่งดีกว่าเดี๋ยวเขาไปอ่าน analysis ไปไม่น่าจะเป็นปัญหาอันนี้คืออะไรเนี่ยอันนี้ process นี้เหมือนกันแหละนะไม่ยากเท่าไหร่นักลองเขียนดูได้แต่ว่าพี่ว่าถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเขียนลองเขียนเทียบเอาก็ได้โดยใช้ข้อมูลพวกนี้เนี่ยมา paraphrase ก็จะช่วยได้นะครับใช่เอาข้อมูลพวกนี้มา paraphrase ก็น่าจะฮิตละเพราะจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยมันไม่จำเป็นต้องเขียนแบบยากขนาดนั้นนะครับก็ได้ปะนะครับเมื่อกี้คือตัวไหนวะลองไล่ดูได้นะครับอันนี้ตัวที่พี่เขียนเนี่ยมันก็จะเป็นประมาณนี้ที่พี่เขียนให้เด็กดูคือพี่ก็จะเขียนไดอะแกรมก่อนใช่ป่ะแล้วก็พี่ก็พูด overall ไปพี่ก็จะเขียนตามแพทเทิร์นอย่างเงี้ยแหละครับว่ามันมีอะไรบ้างแล้วก็เปิดด้วยกราฟที่1เขียนยังไงไล่ไปกราฟที่2เขียนยังไงแต่มันก็แล้วแต่ท็อปิกอีกทีหนึ่งแต่เราเขียนได้แล้วแหละนะแต่พี่จะเขียนเยอะนิดนึงเราไปไล่อ่านดูได้ในไฟล์นี้นะครับเดี๋ยวพี่ส่งไฟล์แชร์ให้อีกทีหนึ่งใช่
ครับ
นะครับประมาณนี้เดี๋ยววันนี้พี่จะให้เดี๋ยวขอดูก่อน listening เรามีปัญหาไหม
listening เหรอlistening ก็มีแค่ตรง2 กับ 3ที่
ไม่ค่อยแม่นจะให้ฟัง listening ก่อนไป speaking ก่อนไหมจะได้แบบ fit ขึ้นเพราะกลัวแบบว่าแบบไม่คือตัว listening มันก็ค่อนข้างที่จะคือพี่อยากให้เราได้ประมาณ35คือ30ต้องยืนพื้นนะครับ
อยากได้ทั้ง
3ใช่เพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเกิดว่าได้ listening ก็จะดีมากเดี๋ยวแป๊บนึงขอดูก่อนเดี๋ยวลองเมื่อวานเราฟังอะไรนะ
ฟัง
16 test 1
6
ใช่
ใช่
ปะ
16.1 ใช่
เพราะฉะนั้นลองดูที่ test 2 เพราะพี่กลัวว่าแบบ ไม่เป็นไรถ้าฟังไปแล้วเนี่ยเราจะได้เขาเรียกว่าจะได้ฟังซ้ำได้แต่ว่าพอเราอยู่ในคลาสเนี่ยให้ฟังหลายๆตัวอ่ะพี่คิดว่าดูตัวนี้ก่อนนะเดี๋ยวพี่ปล่อยโฟก่อนเพราะว่าวันนี้พี่จะทำอินเทอร์วิวก็คือสลับกันเราพูดแล้วพี่พูดทำ turn taking ประมาณนั้นนะแต่ว่า listening อยากให้แบบดึงคะแนนอย่างน้อยก็แบบไป correct ใน2คือ1-4ไม่ค่อยมีปัญหาละเด็กทุกคนน่าจะได้แต่ว่า2-3เนี่ยมันเล่นกับข้อสอบนิดหนึ่งนะโอเคนะเดี๋ยวผมเตรียมความพร้อมนิดหนึ่งเดี๋ยวเรามานั่งฟังอีกนิดหนึ่งไม่ยากนะครับ listening แป๊บเดียวเพราะต้อง fit listening ขึ้นก่อน reading ไม่ค่อยมีปัญหาแล้วถ้าพี่ดูแปลได้ writing ก็เขียนกันอยู่แล้วนะครับพร้อมแล้วบอกพี่เลยนะ
เดี๋ยวผมจดเงิน
พร้อมยัง
เลยพี่เลื่อนหน้าจอมาก่อนแล้วก็ปรับโน้ตให้อยู่ข้าง
1 2 3 go แล้วไปแล้วนะ 1 2 3 go
IELTS 16, Test 2. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Part 1. You will hear a woman phoning a company that converts old photographs to digital format. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Hello, Picture Rep. Can I help you?
Oh, hi. I saw your advertisement about copying pictures to disk, and I'd like a bit more information about what you do.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, I've got a box full of old family photos that's been up in the attic for years. Some of them must be 50 or 60 years old, and I'd like to get them converted to digital format.
Sure, we can do that for you.
Right. And what about size? The photos are all sorts of sizes. Are there any restrictions?
Well, the maximum size of photo we can do with our normal service is 30 centimetres, and each picture must be at least 4 centimetres. That's the minimum we can cope with.
Well, that should be fine. And some of them are in a frame. Should I take them out before I send them?
Yes, please. We can't copy them otherwise. And also the photos must all be separate. They mustn't be stuck into an album.
Okay, that's not a problem. So can you give me an idea of how much this will cost? I've got about 360 photos, I think.
We charge £195 for 300 to 400 photos for the basic service.
Okay, and does that include the disc?
Yes, 1 disc, but you can get extra ones for £5 each.
That's good. So do I need to pay when I send you the photos?
เรื่องขอ
No,
ฟังใหม่ได้ไหมมันแหลกอ่ะ
until we've actually...
อะไรนะครับ
มันแหลกๆกับพี่
เอาใหม่นะ
เอาใหม่เอาครับ
IELTS 16, Test 2. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Part 1. You will hear a woman phoning a company that converts old photographs to digital format. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Hello, Picture Rep. Can I help you?
Oh, hi. I saw your advertisement about copying pictures to disk, and I'd like a bit more information about what you do.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, I've got a box full of old family photos that's been up in the attic for years. Some of them must be 50 or 60 years old, and I'd like to get them converted to digital format.
Sure, we can do that for you.
Right. And what about size? The photos are all sorts of sizes. Are there any restrictions?
Well, the maximum size of photo we can do with our normal service is 30 centimetres, and each picture must be at least 4 centimetres. That's the minimum we can cope with.
Well, that should be fine. And some of them are in a frame. Should I take them out before I send them?
Yes, please. We can't copy them otherwise. And also the photos must all be separate. They mustn't be stuck into an album.
Okay, that's not a problem. So can you give me an idea of how much this will cost? I've got about 360 photos, I think.
We charge £195 for 300 to 400 photos for the basic service.
Okay, and does that include the disc?
Yes, one disc, but you can get extra ones for £5 each.
That's good. So do I need to pay when I send you the photos?
No, we won't need anything until we've actually copied the pictures. Then we'll let you know how much it is. And once we've received the payments, we'll send the parcel off to you.
Right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 4 to 10.
Is there anything else you'd like to ask about our services?
Yes, I've roughly sorted out the photos into groups according to what they're about. So can you keep them in those groups when you copy them?
Sure, we'll save each group in a different folder on the disk, and if you like, you can suggest a name for each folder.
So I could have one called grandparents, for instance.
Exactly.
And do you do anything besides scan the photos? Like, can you make any improvements?
Yes, in the standard service, each photo is checked, and we can sometimes touch up the colour a bit or improve the contrast. That can make a big difference.
Okay. And some of the photos are actually quite fragile. They won't get damaged in the process, will they?
No, if any look particularly fragile, we'd do them by hand. We do realise how precious these old photos can be.
Sure.
And another thing is we can make changes to a photo if you want. So if you want to remove an object from a photo or maybe alter the background, we can do that.
Really? I might be interested in that. I'll have a look through the photos and see. Oh, and talking of fixing photos, I've got a few that aren't properly in focus. Can you do anything to make that better?
No, I'm afraid that's one thing we can't do.
Okay.
Any other information I can give you?
How long will it all take?
We aim to get the copying done in 10 days.
Fine. Right, well, I'll get the photos packed up in a box and post them off to you.
Right. If you've got a strong cardboard box, that's best. We've found that plastic ones sometimes break in the post.
Okay. Right, thanks for your help. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear a head teacher talking to parents of pupils about changes at the school. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, and thank you for coming here today. I'd like to bring you up to date with changes in the school that will affect your children. As you know, the school buildings date from various times, some from the 1970s, some from the last 5 years. And of course, Dartfield House is over a century old. It was commissioned by a businessman, Neville Richards, and intended as his family home, but he died before it was completed. His heir chose to sell it to the local council, who turned it into offices. A later plan to convert it into a tourist information centre didn't come about through lack of money, and instead it formed the nucleus of this school when it opened 40 years ago. The school has grown as the local population has increased, and I can now give you some news about the lower school site, which is separated from the main site by a road. Planning permission has been granted for development of both sites. The lower school will move to new buildings that will be constructed on the main site. Developers will construct houses on the existing lower school site. Work on the new school buildings should start within the next few months. A more imminent change concerns the catering facilities and the canteen. The canteen is always very busy throughout the lunch period. In fact, it's often full to capacity because a lot of our pupils like the food that's on offer there. But there's only one serving point, so most pupils have to wait a considerable time to be served. This is obviously unsatisfactory, as they may have hardly finished their lunch before afternoon lessons start. So, we've had a new food hall built, and this will come into use next week. It'll have several serving areas, and I'll give you more details about those in a minute. But one thing we ask you to do to help in the smooth running of the food hall is to discuss with your children each morning which type of food they want to eat that day, so they can go straight to the relevant serving point. There won't be any junk food. Everything on offer will be healthy, and there's no change to the current system of paying for lunches by topping up your child's electronic payment card online. You may be wondering what will happen to the old canteen. We'll still have tables and chairs in there, and pupils can eat food from the food hall or lunch they've brought from home. Eventually, we may use part of the canteen for storage, but first, we'll see how many pupils go in there at lunchtime.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Okay, back to the serving points in the food hall, which will all have side dishes, desserts, and drinks on sale, as well as main courses. One serving point we call World Adventures. This will serve a different country's cuisine each day, maybe Chinese one day and Lebanese the next. The menus will be planned for a week at a time, so pupils will know what's going to be available the whole of that week. Street life is also international, with food from 3 particular cultures. We'll ask pupils to make suggestions, so perhaps sometimes there'll be food from Thailand, Ethiopia, and Mexico, and then one of them will be replaced by Jamaican food for a week or 2. The speedy Italian serving point will cater particularly for the many pupils who don't eat meat or fish, they can be sure that all the food served there is suitable for them. There'll be plenty of variety, so they shouldn't get bored with the food. Okay, that's all on the new food hall. Now, after-school lessons. These are very popular with pupils, particularly swimming. In fact, there's a waiting list for lessons. Cycling is another favourite, and I'm delighted that dozens of pupils make use of the chance to learn to ride in off-road conditions. It means that more and more cycle to and from school every day. As you know, we have a well-equipped performance centre, and we're going to start drama classes in there too. Pupils will be able to join in just for fun, or work up to taking part in a play. We hope to put on at least one a year. We already teach a number of pupils to use the sound and lighting systems in the centre, and a former pupil has given a magnificent grand piano to the school, so a few pupils will be able to learn at the school instead of going to the local college, as many of them do at the moment.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 2. Part 3. You will hear 2 psychology students called Luke and Susie discussing their assignment on sleep and dreams. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
So, Luke, for our next psychology assignment, we have to do something on sleep and dreams.
Right. I've just read an article suggesting why we tend to forget most of our dreams soon after we wake up. I mean, most of my dreams aren't that interesting anyway. But what it said was that if we remembered everything, we might get mixed up about what actually happened and what we dreamed. So it's a sort of protection. I hadn't heard that idea before. I'd always assumed that it was just that we didn't have room in our memories for all that stuff.
Me too. What do you think about the idea that our dreams may predict the future?
It's a belief that you get all over the world.
Yeah, lots of people have a story of it happening to them. But the explanation I've read is that for each dream that comes true, we have thousands that don't, but we don't notice those. We don't even remember them. We just remember the ones where something in the real world, like a view or an action, happens to trigger a dream memory.
Right. So it's just a coincidence, really.
Mm.
Something else I read about is what they call segmented sleeping. That's a theory that hundreds of years ago, people used to get up in the middle of the night and have a chat or something to eat, then go back to bed. So I tried it myself.
Why?
Well, it's meant to make you more creative. I don't know why, but I gave it up after a week. It just didn't fit in with my lifestyle.
But most preschool children have a short sleep in the day, don't they? There was an experiment some students did here last term to see at what age kids should stop having naps, but they didn't really find an answer. They spent a lot of time working out the most appropriate methodology, but the results didn't seem to show any obvious patterns.
Right. Anyway, let's think about our assignment. Last time I had problems with the final stage, where we had to describe and justify how successful we thought we'd been. I struggled a bit with the action plan too.
I was okay with the planning, but I got marked down for the self-assessment as well. And I had big problems with the statistical stuff. That's where I really lost marks.
Right.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
So, shall we plan what we have to do for this assignment?
Okay.
First, we have to decide on our research question. So, how about, is there a relationship between hours of sleep and number of dreams?
Okay. Then we need to think about who we'll do the study on. About 12 people?
Right. And shall we use other psychology students?
Let's use people from a different department. What about history?
Yes, they might have interesting dreams. Or literature students.
I don't really know any.
Okay, forget that idea. Then we have to think about our methodology. So we could use observation, but that doesn't seem appropriate.
No. It needs to be self-reporting, I think. And we could ask them to answer questions online.
But in this case, paper might be better, as they'll be doing it straight after they wake up. In fact, while they're still half asleep.
Right. And we'll have to check the ethical guidelines for this sort of research.
Because our experiment involves humans, so there are special regulations.
Yes. I had a look at those for another assignment I did. There's a whole section on risk assessment and another section on making sure they aren't put under any unnecessary stress.
Let's hope they don't have any bad dreams.
Yeah.
Then, when we've collected all our data, we have to analyze it and calculate the correlation between our two variables. That's time sleeping and number of dreams. And then present our results visually in a graph.
Right, and the final thing is to think about our research and evaluate it. So that seems quite straightforward.
Yeah. So now let's get...
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a sports science student giving a presentation on the health benefits of dance. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Dancing is something that humans do when they want to have a good time. It's a universal response to music found in all cultures. But what's only been discovered recently is that dancing not only makes us feel good, it's also extremely good for our health. Dancing, like other forms of exercise, releases hormones, such as dopamine, which make us feel relaxed and happy. And it also reduces feelings of stress or anxiety. Dancing is also a sociable activity, which is another reason it makes us feel good. One study compared people's enjoyment of dancing at home in front of a video with dancing in a group in a studio. The people dancing in a group reported feeling happier, whereas those dancing alone did not. In another experiment, university researchers at York and Sheffield took a group of students and sent each of them into a lab where music was played for 5 minutes. Each had to choose from 3 options: to sit and listen quietly to the music, to cycle on an exercise bike while they listened, or to get up and dance. All were given cognitive tasks to perform before and after. The result showed that those who chose to dance showed much more creativity when doing problem-solving tasks. Dr. Lovett at the University of Hertfordshire believes dance could be a very useful way to help people suffering from mental health problems. He thinks dance should be prescribed as therapy to help people overcome issues such as depression. It's well established that dance is a good way of encouraging adolescent girls to take exercise. But what about older people? Studies have shown that there are enormous benefits for people in their 60s and beyond. One of the great things about dance is that there are no barriers to participation. Anyone can have a go, even those whose standard of fitness is quite low. Dance can be especially beneficial for older adults who can't run or do more intense workouts, or for those who don't want to. One 2015 study found that even a gentle dance workout helps to promote a healthy heart. And there's plenty of evidence which suggests that dancing lowers the risk of falls, which could result in a broken hip, for example, by helping people to improve their balance. There are some less obvious benefits of dance for older people too. One thing I hadn't realized before researching this topic was that dance isn't just a physical challenge. It also requires a lot of concentration because you need to remember different steps and routines. For older people, this kind of activity is especially important because it forces their brain to process things more quickly and to retain more information. Current research also shows that dance promotes a general sense of well-being in older participants, which can last up to a week after a class. Participants report feeling less tired and having greater motivation to be more active and do daily activities such as gardening or walking to the shops or a park. Ballroom or country dancing, both popular with older people, have to be done in groups. They require collaboration and often involve touching a dance partner, all of which encourages interaction on the dance floor. This helps to develop new relationships and can reduce older people's sense of isolation, which is a huge problem in many countries. I also looked at the benefits of Zumba. 15 million people in 180 countries now regularly take a Zumba class, an aerobic workout based on Latin American dance moves. John Porcari, a professor of exercise and sports science at the University of Wisconsin, analyzed a group of women who were Zumba regulars and found that a class lasting 40 minutes burns about 370 calories. This is similar to moderately intense exercises like step aerobics or kickboxing. A study in the American Journal of Health Behavior showed that when women with obesity did Zumba 3 times a week for 16 weeks, they lost an average of 1.2 kilos and lowered their percentage of body fat by 1%. More importantly, the women enjoyed the class so much that they made it a habit and continued to attend classes at least once a week. Very unusual for an aerobic exercise program. Dance is never going to compete with high-intensity workouts when it comes to physical fitness gains, but its popularity is likely to keep on rising because it's such a fun way to keep fit.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 4.
พี่โรสมัยของพี่โรมันแหลกๆเน็ตไม่ดีอ่ะ
จริงปะ ไม่เป็นไร
มันแหลกๆแต่ก็ฟังได้
ลองเช็ค answer key ก่อนนะครับ เสร็จแล้วบอกพี่นะ
ได้พี่ รับก่อนตัวนี้นะครับตัวเดียวพี่ เสร็จแล้วพี่
เป็นยังไงบ้างยากไหม
ครับนับดูกัน1 2 3 4 5 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 27 28 29 30 30พอดีพี่
เฮ้ยก็ได้อยู่นะ
ไม่ได้
เฮ้ยรอบนี้
ไม่
ดี
ตอบ
ขึ้น
ไม่ได้ตอบไป3ข้อมี29 30แล้วก็34
อืมเป๊ะขึ้นไม่น่ามีปัญหาขอเช็คข้อผิดหน่อยได้ไหมครับได้ไหม
โอ้พี่โดรีเน็ตไหม
ไม่ได้ยินเสียงพี่เลยเหรอเฮ้ยจริงปะเนี่ย
มันแหลกกับพี่
เฮ้ยทำไมมันแหลกวะวันนี้ดึกๆเน็ตไม่ดีเหรอเลยขอเช็คก่อนวันนี้วันที่เท่าไหร่อ่ะ
ไม่รู้
21ไม่ใช่เหรอไม่น่ามีปัญหาเรื่องเน็ตนะไม่เป็นไรลองดูที่ข้อผิดก่อนนะครับดูที่พาร์ทที่1พาร์ท1ผิดไหม
พาร์ท 1ไม่ผิดเลย
10 เต็ม 10นะพาร์ท2นะครับ
สลับกัน BC 11กับ12สลับกัน
11 12พาร์ท
แล้วก็
3นะครับ
แล้วก็19 10ก็สลับกันพาร์ท3มี24ผิดแล้วก็29 30ไม่ได้ตอบ
พาร์ท
พาร์ท4มี34ไม่ได้ตอบ36กับ37ไม่ได้ตอบไปตอบผิด
4
สลับกัน
ก็โอเคนะเลขก็สวยอยู่นะครับไม่ยากนะตอนนี้โอเคก็ไม่มีอะไรมากก็ลองเทรนเพิ่มได้พี่คิดว่าไม่น่ามีปัญหานะครับspeaking ดีกว่าครับผมจะเยอะนิดนึงนะ speaking นะครับไล่พูดไปเลยพี่จะดูว่าแบบเราจะพูดเป็นไงบ้างพี่จะมีอยู่5ข้อนะครับเราจะทำทีละข้อหรือว่าจะ random 3 ใน 5
ไงก็ได้เริ่มทีละข้อก็ได้
ให้เริ่มทีละข้อก็ได้เราจะได้ fluent ขึ้นนะครับโอเคไหมงั้นดูที่หน้านี้ก่อนก็ได้ครับผมเดี๋ยวพี่ให้เวลาก่อนก็ได้นะให้เวลาเราดูทั้ง5แล้วก็ลองพลันดูก่อนก็ได้แล้วก็ค่อยเทสทีละตัวดีไหม
ดี
โอเคเดี๋ยวพี่ให้เวลาก่อนให้เราดูก่อนเต็มที่
describe life from poem or song that you remember โอเคผมพร้อมแล้ว
พร้อมแล้วนะงั้นเริ่มที่ข้อ1ครับผม poem so describe a line from a poem that you remember
remember I think it's quite complicatedly because I don't remember the relic or the poem from the books so I will choose the one song from the Time Impala that sang like feel like we move like feeling backward sorry and I think it's too much meaning for me because life every people or lifestyle is not moving toward or specifically over time and I think it's quite moving backward because we facing a lot of struggle times and stress depression or bad events in our life so something change too much we will move backward this is my opinion and number 2 describe one of your country's tradition I think in our world is believe in the mixed traditional forever especially in Thailand or overseas countries and my country is tradition is we not like not even my country, every Asian country is we don't wear the sneaker or shoes in our house. For my opinion, I think it's dirty or is give a respect from other older people or the ancient in our house. So the Asian people not wearing the shoes in house just is one of the best to describe the traditional in our country. Number three is describe someone you believe in very extrovert. This question is meaningful because I have a lot of my friends as being extrovert. They always extreme in every moment of life. They pressure, they motivation, and they don't afraid what is going on in the future. So I want to call my friend. Not I think even my close friend being an extrovert, not someone I think. And I'm the one of the extroverts people because want to be socialized, want to communication, and I think living with extreme and don't lose it all is quite good for like trading to get a better life chance in the future, for my opinion. And number four is describe a long lost friend with whom recently reconnect. Yeah, I have this story, but it's quite uh it's quite not good to listen because I never contract friend for since primary school in the grade 6, and they chat to me for borrowing some money from me. I think it's weird, like weirder guy, because we never met like for 17 years or 7 years maybe, and they didn't they scamming me like they he pretending to be to communication, but in the last moment he's still convincing me to give him money. So I think it's too much weird guy. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you should not probably do with any person because they never keep in touch together and maybe they talk for a long time and you just ask about money. I think
It's kind of
sometimes
weird, right? It's kind of like inappropriate behavior. Is that right? Yeah, I think so.
yeah. And number five, describe by family you enjoy and the place pleasure to know. For my family, we live together since every moment. We have a big family, and I think we have enjoyable a lot of moment or places we visited. So for my family, we like to visit the some Iceland or the sea to see the view. So I think it's relaxed and have perfect mood for sitting in the front of the house and seeing the sunset. I think it's the enjoyable moment for me.
I see good good เป็นไงบ้างแต่บอสพูดสั้นไปพี่ว่านะต้องพูดเยอะนิดนึงเดี๋ยวลองพี่ลองพูดบ้างดีกว่าแป๊บหนึ่งนะครับ
อันนี้พาร์ท2ครับพี่
ใช่พาร์ท2ก็จะยากนิดนึง good ใช่ไหมแต่เราเน้นพาร์ท2นี่แหละ alright so describe a line from a poem or song that I remember that you remember here so well I think that I'm not used to or even be familiar with the poem that I can talk today. But I think that what I remember or just recalling from the kind of like storytelling from that line is all about let's say historical poem just because it's attract my mind and just stick in my mind that it was very wonderful storytelling to me. It dictate or even portray the historical life event, which is really important for next generation to learn about how to behave properly. Even it's back into the previous time, but it might be a memorable experience to those people who really want to learn something from that poem. I can say that it's all about storytelling that portray the way that people live a life in different places. For example, in the Western country or even Eastern country, you're going to have a different lifestyle or even different belief, which can lead their society in different proportions here. So I can say that the poem that I really stick in my mind have been one of the most important poem that everyone can look forward to, not just only me, but also my friends, but also my friends still, think about it too. So that is a very popular poem that I can say. That's all. ประมาณนั้นนะครับได้ไหม
พี่คือพูดไปถึงแบบสมัยก่อนคนมันก็ชอบเหมือนกันก็เป็นแบบ historical แล้วก็บอกว่าเราก็ชอบอะไรบ้าง
ใช่จริงๆแล้วพอเรานึกไม่ออกเราต้องพูดอธิบายเพิ่มนะประมาณนั้นคิดว่านะครับลองดูที่ข้อ2ต่อนะครับ describe one of your country tradition country tradition okay if I'm going to if you let's say if you ask me that I can explain one of my country traditions, so I'm Thai, I'm native in Bangkok, so I'm going to introduce a little bit Thai costume or even tradition from a Thai people here. What I want to say here is all about like Songkran festival, which is really important for Thai people and Thai citizens. This is the reason why, just because Thai people believe in parents, and we're gonna have like some trait and personality that all have to respect their parents and make their life to become more easier or become happy. And also the way that this opportunity brings such like a wonderful moment or even word experience for all of Thai people to have or even interact to each other. And on that day it's all about like it's look like celebration that everyone have to come together and also respect their parents, their relatives, or even friends that believe or trust in the same way. So this is the reason that I think it's all about like let's say worthy traditions from Thai people. and I can say that it can be represent of a type people and bring lots of opportunity or even happiness to others too. That's all. Yep. ประมาณนี้ยาวเนาะDescribe someone you believe is very extrovert. Well, I think one of my friends really extrovert personality. So my understanding of extrovert personality is that they can have like the skillful for effective communication when it comes to talk in front of the class or in the public. So I can say like extrovert personality is kind of like what we are going to strive for. The effective for working lifestyle or when interaction with others. I think extrovert is not that overwhelmed or even show off on something, but I think that is kind of like profession and also professionalism for any kinds of like business now in the modern day, just because I think that if you are good at speaking or even effective communication, you can consider yourself as an extrovert person. So to me, I think, my colleague really good at speaking, so they're gonna have an opportunity to do lots of tasks or responsibility in front of the class or even on the stage, right? So I think I'm going to practice myself to be an extrovert person too, just because it brings lots of opportunity to become more professionalism here. That's it. ยากไหมนิดหนึ่งนะ
ยา
ครั
ก
บ
นะ
งั้นพี่ถาม discuss ดีกว่าจากห้าคำถามนี้ได้ปะ
ได้
ถามเราได้ปะ
ได้
ลองนะ so do you think poem is important for people in that country
เมื่อกี้พี่ถามอะไรมันแหลกเลย
hello เอาใหม่นะ so do you think again ใหม่นะ do you think poem or even storytelling movie reflect the way people behave or living in that country
in my perspective and now based studying I think is completely change every people life in the modern era because nowadays we live in the fast pace and the technology we have a lot we can saw the quote or the word that oftenly in our internet or in the chat or with influencer or something they talk about and I think it's too much change our life forever just for one quote a lot of celebrity or the government people will can have the word that they can contract with a lot of people they motivate a lot of people not even in like in the books or in the society but in my opinion word can change our life forever such as we in the religion for comparing we read the Bible we read the guide they can teach us a lot of guidelines in the future and how to live with behave and with the polite so I think it word I obviously think word can change people's life but not even the word I think but the experience that we saw we have or the how we come in many places visiting see a lot of people say we can use them as the one of the inspiring for our lives for example that can be keep in touch is when we listening the song and had the lyrics that touched in our heart, and we really enjoyable with it, especially for it's like the sadness song or the heartbroken song. We can feel that. We can feel that one of the we have experience for that, and they repeat it again as a song,
I see.
and it can touch your heart. And perhaps I think it's realistic too much. Even we cannot meet each other, we can know the same feeling together. I think the word
see.
or the line from even the books or the song can change our life forever.
That's it.
Can I agree?
เดี๋ยวพี่ส่งพี่จะลองถามอันนี้เป็น trending topic จาก discussion นะฮะลอง cover ทุกข้อเลยนะพี่ส่งไปใน line อะครับเป็น love dating and marriage นะครับนะครับคำถามข้อที่1คือเรื่อยๆนะไม่ต้องไปเสียกดดันก็คือพยายาม cover อันนี้เป็น trending topic นิดหนึ่งอยากจะให้เราฝึกพูดหน่อยโอเค All right, so if you are 35 years old and unmarried, would you still wait for your true love? Why?
I think it's quite far from my position right now because now I'm already early 20s and I don't have girlfriends and I don't feel lonely, but from my perspective, if you reach in the 30 or more from that, I think your life should be suitable or success in the first step of life. And I think the marriage is not everything can be guaranteed that you will success or have a happy life in the future. But I have read sometimes too much. The true love will not run with the unmarried. I think we can live with each other with marriage. The marriage is just the signal or the sign that can ensure for another people that you are living with this person.
I see.
From my opportunity or from my experience, I really trust in the true love because every people we met or the new person have we seen is we can trust each other for like the first time or everything.
I see
ประ
ประมาณนั้น yeah แต่ว่าโจทย์พวกนี้มันยากเนาะ
yeah.
So next question, right? Just because this is a trending topic, so I think that if you can prepare for this, it might be some questions for the interview there, right? So moving to next question here, who will pay for the wedding cost? Man or woman or both? Why?
I think we live in a modern life, or we live in modern technology and philosophy. We have not the good old man that man can be over the woman. So now the equality has become more important in the society. Every person is have equal, or we have everything that can be the same, not even a man or woman. But in a wedding cost, from my experience, from the Thai tradition, the man should pay for it. But now in the modern society, I think is we should pay together, because since we living together, we married it, right? We have a couple. Not even a man work all day, but also men working. So we have some same part of the income that we received. So I think we should pay together if we want in a wedding cost. So don't trust the old man or the grandparents should be on the tradition.
So we should change, right?
Yeah, we should change it, because I think man is not the first man in the family anymore. We're living together, we should help together, we can cooperate, we can talk, we can negotiate. And now I think in the modern world, we can communicate properly together to have a reason what we talk, or have a good reason why we live together.
I see a point here. That's it. All right, good. Thank you so much for your sharing here. So for first and second, right, it's all about marriage, dating, and love, right? Okay, good. So next, I think, what do you think about what do you think is the best age to get married?
Is far from my position again, and from my perspective, I think it's depend on the timing of your life, because to get married should be have the money, enough money to buying the cost, to paying for the wedding cost. And if we still like the employee, or just the man that work only in the small business, or just starting some business, I think not properly to get married early, to show up for the other people that we have living together, right? But for me, is depend on the people, on even the man and the woman who respect each other, or accepting that we should marry. Especially the cost for the marriage is too expensive and high, because you rent a photographer, you rent a place for the wedding, you should invite a lot of the friends or your family to going the wedding places, and you should pay a lot of the services from there, such as food or the rent of the serviceman.
I see.
From my opinion, I think we should get married if we ready for it. We have money, we have good timing. Don't even care about the other people. Just care about your couples and yourself, and don't be afraid from your parents to quickly say that you should get married for pay the granddaughter for them. I think the society has changed just too much, and now from the economic point, I think we don't have a good the economic overworld. Everything is awful, and every money should pay less. So I think if we saving in and we have good timing from the position you have, and if you are thinking you are ready for it, just go it. I don't block you or just start doing it.
I see your point here. Good. So it doesn't mean that it have like a proper time or even suitable time to get married, right? Just because some people may get married very young, but some people may not be able to get married or even like
Society has
get married
changed.
late, right? Just because the social setting or even their society has been transformed from the previous time until modern times might be different here. Good. Right, next question to you. Do you think weddings in your country waste a lot of money?
So this question is, I understand a lot. From my experience, that going to get married, going to the wedding places with my family, and I saw a lot of the luxury or the expensive life and good food. From my opinion, I think it's a lot of waste, a lot of money, because in Thai traditional, if we get married, you want to invite a lot of people to join your wedding. It lead to you should rent a huge place for capability for a lot of people who stay there. Pay for the food, you pay for the costume that can be you think it can be looking good for you, and especially for the consultant that recommend for the estimate a lot of money you get. I think it's overrating, especially in Thailand. We live in Thai culture, right? Not the same like the Western country that we live married like locally, don't pay too much. It's just the close friend or close family living together. So the sharing up, I think it depends on the tradition in country, I think.
I see your point here. Good. So I think I do agree that wedding in Thailand waste of money, or just like waste lots of money, just because like for couples, right? So boys and girls have to spend lots of money on not just only like for the wedding traditions or even like the ceremony things like that, but they can have like money for their own or even their couple to make it happen too. So this is the reason that I can say here is a waste a lot of money too. Yep. Next question to you, just because this is a big topic here. And what age do most people in your country get married? Get married, yeah.
What age, right?
Yeah.
I think good timing for the get married is around 30 to 5, I think, because we have a good position in your career. We have good timing, good aging, not too young or not too old. And especially for the women who want to get pregnant, it's safe for them to have the proper time to giving a baby. So the age is around 30 to 35 in a lot of in my thinking. And I think it's good time for it, good timing, and this can be acceptable from your parents because they're not too old too much to accept your love or your couple. So I think we have that at a proper time for it. Yeah.
I see. So well, I think that it's not the right to say that lots of people may get married just because we are in the modern day, right? So sometimes change and social change or even lots of things change that we can't even accept the things what the former people or even old people should accept as the norm or what the guideline for wedding or get married should be like that, right? So sometimes it's not suitable time to get married just because people have a variety of opinions or even a wide enough perspective, which not that involved with this kind of things, I can say. Yep. Good. And next, I think this is a very important question to you. Does getting married mean giving up your freedom?
From my opinion, it doesn't mean a lot. Marriage not each other because since we have couples, we don't have too much time as freedom as be single, and I think getting married is just a sign for men and women that know each other. But a lot of people say we're gonna lose the freedom because the man can control himself because the woman had a power more than him. Yeah, that's right. That's like the
Is that true?
I think not quite a lot true for the modern generation, the new generation for it.
Just because just because I think
we don't believe in the tradition, right? We can talk like the modern people. We can know that each other that we have a reason for it. Don't use your emotion to talk together, or it's called fighting or the bad argument. So have a reason. We should accept that.
I see your point here. It's all
But
about
I
like,
agree one thing that when you get married or having a couple, you will lose your privacy sometimes.
To me, I can say that it's not that limit or prevent from freedom when you decide to get married. Just because once we decide to get married, to me, I can say that it's a kind of like both of couples have decided that they're gonna have like couple life or even marriage life after that. So it's kind of like is the point that the let's say like the point of time that both of them are agreed to have a like what we call a family, right? So meaning that I can say that maybe they might not be able to approach to the friends or close friends such as hang out or even the sightseeing, traveling, things like that, just because they're going to have a quality time with their family instead. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Next. Cảm ơn mọi người. All right, so I think next one. It's okay for a couple to live together before getting married. Why have I not? Cái đây là
I think it's okay for the new generation. We live together, we know each other, we can communicating too much. But sometimes in some situation, our parents do not accept it. Because we don't like a lot of university couple living together in a condo or the mansion, and the parent know that it's inappropriately for the people.
I see your point.
But ignore it because the world has changed too much. Because humanity or human being can be keep in touch or live each other the easy way, just living together. We will know each other.
So you are encourage those people who living before married, right?
Yeah.
Just because we can get to know and know each other more and more. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. You can know the real person who you're living it. You will know how much they love you or how much they can understand with you together. So living together is the best part for understanding each other.
Right.
Because human is not born for living alone. We need to talk. We need to know each other. We need someone to can receive a lot of the emotion or the experience that we has passed. So I know that if we have only one person that can receive the emotion that you get from a lot of things that you have passed, I think it can be good to sharing together. So living together is just that point for it.
I see your point here. Good. Next question to you. But to me, I can say that I partially agree that those living together before they get married might be able to bring such a good thing instead of bad thing. Just because I think that for some people may have unexpected or even unplanned pregnancy just because they live together. Is that right? So this is maybe one of the most important thing that we have to reconsider or even avoid, just such a thing like that. Even it is easy to protect or even do something right when living together, but to me I can say that it might cause more problems if you're living together and you are a student or university student here, and then unexpected situations such as unplanned pregnancy happen. So it caused several, problems more than just a good thing to getting a living together. But anyway, for modern day, we can see lots of couples, they just live together just because they, I would love to see just because they decide to stay together. That's why they live together. Is that right? Yep. Good. Next question to you. Correct now. Wow. Is it better to be single or to be married? อันนี้พูดยากเลย
I think it's quite tough question. I think it depends on people you were living it. If you're single, you still have friends to recover you. You have a couple. Your best friend is just like your girlfriend or your boyfriend because you can talk a lot. You can know each other. But it depends on the situation or depend on the people that you are thinking about. For me, is have a lot of advantage for being single, but in another way, we still have a lot of advantage on have a couple.
I see. So this is kind of like what we can choose or even decide to do, right? Just because having couple or even the another one to stay together, it doesn't mean that it's easy to find the right one for you. Is that right? So meaning that being alone might be an option for lots of people in this during modern day. But anyways, it's kind of like, one of the most important factor for supporting such mental issues. So we have to have friends, family support, or even couples instead of being alone. This is the reason that everyone is looking for this kind of people who can match or even find dating, something like that, right? Yeah. Just because this is the reason, the big reason and big issue, as you can say. Yeah. Next, I think you should go for, is it okay to marry someone from a different religion? It's very interesting here.
I think love is not a religion. Love is just a thing that we live together or that just two people accept it. But if especially the religion rule that you understand it and you really love you really love them from bottom of your heart, it's easily to accept the rule from the religion. For example, like Islam, for the getting married, that you before that you can eat everything, especially pork or the meat. But if you are living in Islam, you should respect the rule you that they has been created for a long time
Mm.
or without eating a meat. But if you can accept that, I think it's properly for things that you have been doing before.
Mm.
Because if you really love or keep in touch them for a long time, it little is a tiny thing that you can do it without any reason. So the region is doesn't matter because of love.
Mm. But I agree with this topic just because I think that to me I'm kind of like a Muslim, right? And also the way that people that I can see from a couple, they're gonna have a problem if they decide to stay with those people who have a different religion. For example, like Christianity with Buddhism is kind of fine just because there is no limitation for food or even the lifestyle, right? Hindering for their lifestyle or practices here. But if you decide to, get married with those people who are Muslim society, so I can say that the way that they behave or even, personal belief, a group of belief, for example, like food, halal food, things like that. Even some restaurant cannot even provide this kind of thing together. And if you should, for me, I can say that loving is a kind of respect to each other. Even you follow, but you might not be able to say that 100% that you respect to do just such a thing, just because you just take, compromising or even the let's say like your just let them proud or even satisfied with this kind of thing, but at the end for a long term I think it might cause a problem, right? Okay, so maybe I might be disagree but yep, but anyway, love is love, that's it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it okay for a man to have two wives?
Mm. This question is depend on the people opinion, I think. If we can sharing the moment every time with your love and you understanding how they live together, I think it's acceptable for they living together. You have the more two, three, or four, a lot of people just things, but you have to manage your time for sharing to get good enough time for every your wife. I think
That's it, right?
yeah, but in the moral things or thing is not properly to do that
Because why?
because we in a lot of tradition or religion we still believe in the true love that we met it before just one man and one woman.
Just only the two, right?
So it's quite tough for the society that they're looking for you.
I see your point here. But do you think it's common for those guys who have two girls?
Yeah.
It's common, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just because one is not enough. Is that right? And it's happened to everyone.
I think it depends on every society. If you care about they're looking for you or your position, it depends. I think if you ignore about it properly, you can do it. together.
Yep, it's good. Okay, maybe some kind of like it depend on other people, right? Okay, so shall we move to next question to you? Do people change after getting married? Do people change after getting married? Change ไหมเอ่ย
Do you think people change after get married? I think no.
No, just
Not
because
really no, because we just like we have a more responsibility to do each other. If we have living together, right? We have married. What do about future? You want to get a baby? If your wife has pregnant, how to take care of them, and how if we living together early for the marriage, I think anything will not change, but the responsibility will have more because you grow up. I think.
So that's all, right?
Yeah.
I think so, just because when they decide to get married, so they're gonna have like the way that they should change a bit before marriage, right? So let's say like for some couples, so they learn to live, they learn some kind of like weaknesses or even strengths, and then they try to adapt themselves to be harmonized or come along together. And then so I think that they're gonna change a bit, but it's not that change for much, just because I can say like lots of divorce or even like a disagreement happen from time to time. So meaning that because they cannot even change, that's why they decide to be or get divorced, right? Next question to you: what makes a happy marriage?
What's my happy marriage?
Yeah.
I think in the wedding, everyone is sharing and really happiness. I think it's one of great moment in your life, that seeing everyone sharing up your life to getting better, to having good future, what next to you, and how your couple will take care of you. So in this position, I think it's really good moment for everyone that who come in the wedding. I think it is such great moment from there. Everybody look good and they prepare for it. So I think it's quite a good moment for everyone who used to be there before or after. I think it's really good for everyone. Yeah.
เป็นไงเหนื่อยไหมเนี่ย เหนื่อยเข้ามาตอบพรุ่งนี้ก็ได้นะ ต่อพระหัสนะครับ
พรุ่งนี้ไม่อยู่
พรุ่งนี้ไม่อยู่แล้วต่อพระหัสก็ได้นะโอเคนะงั้นพี่ขอปิดคลาสแต่เพียงเท่านี้ก่อนนะโอเคกลัวเราแบบโอเคนะบ๊ายบายครับสวัสดีครับ
ครับพี่ชา